today. It's Saj and Afia. Now, the learning centres for children who are a bit anxious about going to school. Is this a common thing, ladies?
Yes, we are. I think families are experiencing it more and more since after COVID. There's a lot of EBSNA children, emotionally based school non-attendance or a school avoidance. And there's a lot of children who've spent a lot of time during COVID at home, not exactly understanding why, but also especially children with additional learning needs don't fit the mainstream all the time. So in a class full of 35 children, they get lost, and sometimes they can be referred as sort of behavior children, or if there's a meltdown, then it's just school is not for everybody, and mainstream doesn't fit everybody. So Cherry Grove Learning Centre is there to ensure that those children do have options.
Is it often just one thing that maybe makes them not want to go to school? Perhaps they don't like a certain lesson or a certain thing, or is it a whole structure of things that makes them not want to go then?
I think lessons is not why they don't attend. I think that it's just overwhelming anxiety for many of our learners. Some of our learners have ADHD, they have autism, it might be dyslexia, it might be bullying, it might be other children or maybe even staff not understanding their needs. So it's not that, because we find with the learners that we have, they might not have enjoyed maths because they're just in a room, as I said, with 30 odd children, and they don't have that attention because they learn a different way. Their brain works a different way. Doesn't mean that they can't do the maths. They learn a different way, and the teacher doesn't always necessarily have time to have these bespoke plans for each individual and give them that attention, because she's got, he or she's got 30 other children to be dealing with.
I think sometimes they do actually enjoy lessons. That's not the problem. It's actually coming into school and being able to walk into that lesson of 35 children is just something that they cannot access. So with Cherry Grove, our class sizes are small. We have got incredible teachers who can cater to those needs, because we've had kids who have been not going to school for 2 years, and since September we've had 100% attendance from them.
Yeah, and they're enjoying all the lessons. So I don't think it is about the lessons. I think it's just mainstream settings are difficult for those children to comprehend, to be able to it's all our stuff is trauma informed, but it's about just having that one-to-one attention. It's that nurturing environment. It's that being able to go to every class is about 5 children, being able to go to each child and be able to teach and differentiate lessons according to that child and give them enough time to understand and grasp the concept that they're teaching.
One of the issues that is happening with schools right across the UK is that schools are getting bigger. They're shutting a lot of smaller schools, and smaller class sizes are becoming less common, and larger class sizes are becoming more common. Although parents generally don't want this, they want what you're offering, which is smaller schools and smaller classrooms. But obviously with councils, I guess it comes down to money, and they tend to be pushing towards large super schools, big class sizes. So you're sort of doing in reverse of what the authorities are doing, but doing what the parents really do want. And probably the children would, if you ask them as well, would you prefer a bit smaller class or bigger? They prefer smaller.
Well, absolutely. And I think that, budgeting is a massive issue for schools, and with the rise of, especially in England, with the rise of academies, it's a cluster of schools that and so and we're based in Haverfordwest, and we've got schools with Haverfordwest High, for example, is almost 2,000 pupils. So, and it's not the fault of the teachers. They're doing the best, but they're exhausted, and they just don't have the capacity to give that one-to-one attention.
But it is the children that then end up suffering. It is the teachers can't do anything about it. They've got to teach these children. But some of the children that we have in our school, in our learning centre, are children who can't voice their opinion in that big, huge setting. And they do struggle with not the learning. They don't struggle with the education side of it, I don't think. It's actually having the courage to say, oh, actually, I didn't understand that, or can I have a little bit more help? Because they are overwhelmed with their surroundings.
And we have staff that are able to recognize those cues in children. They all have Elenco qualifications, so they understand when a child is holding back and what might, so to be able to give them then the one-to-one attention and say, should we try it this way? And often these children will feel that they've got, it's about getting their confidence back. And hopefully we want them to live in the real world as well. We want them to be confident enough in society, in community. And so if it means that they come to us for a certain amount of time and they've got their confidence and they might want to try mainstream, then we'll support families in that. It's all up to what the child needs and what the parents want. And we, because we're so small, we can, and we aim to keep small, we are able to cater to those individual needs.
Because you mentioned Haverfordwest High, because it is a big school. And for those that aren't aware, it's quite a new school, which did combine two smaller secondary schools. There was Tasker Millwood School and Sir Thomas Beckton School, and they were combined into one now in Haverfordwest School. So it's like two senior schools in one now. So I can imagine that it is very large, and probably some children do find having such a huge amount of, not just in the class, but in the whole school, of being surrounded by people, if you are a little anxious or shy. And some of the primary schools will still be very small. And you go into now a super school, 2 in 1, and it's going to be huge. And I can understand that probably for some children, they maybe were good in primary school, got into senior school, and it just was too overwhelming for them. Do you find that it's the senior school thing that switches with some?
I think so. We have a lot of primary students as well. So I think that a lot of the parents feel that this is something that they're noticing from when the children are very young. And so they want to act straight away. But increasingly, they want them to settle. So the primary children that we have at the moment, their parents have felt that they need to help them to settle now before they even think about secondary school. And look, Haverfordwest High is a fantastic school. I'm a governor of Haverfordwest High, and we're not against the mainstream. We want to work with the schools and offer, we offer referrals, placements from schools as well, whether they're short term or long term. But it's about ensuring that those children who don't cause a fuss in classrooms, but are just so overwhelmed by answering questions or being afraid of failure, or they have their brain works differently, they are neurodivergent. And rather than sit there twiddling their thumbs because they're not grasping the concepts of what they're being taught, and they're just slipping through the net, and it's just not fair. So it's giving those children an opportunity to be educated in the way that they need to be educated.
And I think, because I worked in Taskers for almost 15 years, and I think a lot of children, a lot of parents, what they're facing is their child goes into school because they're not troublemakers. They are really good kids. They mask throughout the whole day of their entire day of 6 hours or 5 hours, they're just keeping it together. And as soon as they're home, then they do have a massive meltdown because they've just been masking the whole entire day, and the parents can't explain that to the education setting or their teachers, because the teachers haven't seen it, and it's not the teacher's fault. But they are going through these hidden struggles that the parents are seeing, and it's heartbreaking for the parents, because we have spoken to a lot of parents who have said the same, isn't it? So that's why they are thinking of the well-being of their own child. And some of these barriers only the family are seeing. And it doesn't only affect that one child and the parents. If they've got siblings, it affects the siblings. It affects the grandparents who are also feeling the stress of this, because it's not nice to see your family member struggle, and especially if they're children.
And it's overwhelming to be going into a huge school environment from primary school, which is still nurturing, which just still has that family sort of feel to it, to then go into a huge setting. It's very, very overwhelming for some of these children. And it's just sort of a stepping stone to get them back into maybe mainstream if that's what the parents want. Or a lot of our parents from primary have place their children with us who were previously home educated, have said, we're choosing you because they don't have to then, the daunting fear of having to go into secondary school later on, they want to cut out that fear. So they like, well, you'll stay here, because we are from age 3 to 18. And so essentially they could do their BTECs or A levels or whatever vocational courses they want to do with us. So there is that safety cushion for those children. A lot of the time we feel that we've got some children that stayed with us for a term and have gone back to mainstream because they were confident enough to know the tools now to cope with mainstream. So if that's what they want, that's what they will help them with. But it always starts at where the child is at and how do we cater to that specific need of that child.
And looking on your website as well at some of the pictures, I can see the classrooms are very airy and light, which is important because a lot of new schools now, they don't put a lot of new windows in new builds. It was always a common thing to have huge windows in schools for natural light for children. In more recent times in the UK, with new builds, to cut money, a lot of new schools, if you look, they have very little windows and less glass. And I noticed that at Cherry Grove, you've got the big windows, so they're very light, airy classrooms. So it doesn't feel quite so claustrophobic for the children. Is that correct?
Oh, well, thank you for noticing that. We've got lots of colourful things as well. Then we've got this thing where the children have ownership of that learning centre. And so it's very, very important. So we set up initially for the children to have like a traditional classroom setting with the tables and the chairs placed this way. And we did it intentionally so that when they come in, were the very first, we opened in September, on September the 8th. And when they came in, we said, right, this is how we're set up, but we want you to take ownership of your classroom and we want you to set it up how you think is best for you. And so most of our settings are now in a sort of a U shape where the children will go on the tables that are out and the teacher will be in the middle. So they can then make sure that everybody has that one-to-one attention. But
some of our
airy classrooms.
Some of our classrooms and our tables are crazy because the kids have decided, you know what, I want to face.
Yeah, some of them are facing this way because that's where they want to learn. We have a lot of there are some classrooms with traditional settings, but then they also have breakout tables. So anybody who wants to go off and break out and do their work on their own, then get on with it, then that's what we can do. We also have a sensory room. So we encourage any student that's feeling overwhelmed in a lesson to just take a bit of time out, go to the sensory room, go and sit on the bean bags and have the fidgets or whatever you need, whatever it is that they need to feel confident in learning again and go back. And then we gently encourage that. But there's lots of alternative ideas in place for them to provide them with just safety first and foremost. They've got to feel happy and safe first, and then the learning will come naturally.
Because that's what we have found. We have found that the parents have said, like, look, I haven't been able to get them into school for
2 years,
2 years, 1 year. And then they've come in every day. And I offered them the sensory room to go into if they feel overwhelmed in classrooms. Or I've got my primary classroom just at the end of the corridor where they can come and sit. In the beginning, they were using it a lot. They were leaving lessons, and we've made sure that the LSA does follow. But for the past, since we've come back from Christmas, after Christmas holidays, I haven't had anybody come into that room because they just feel happy. They feel comfortable. They
enjoy.
enjoy.
I think also a lot of our lessons, from geography to history to STEM to science, everything we do, and even English literacy, we do it practically. So they go out and they learn. There's outdoor learning, there's discovery school, there's so much going on. But when they do things practically first, they do the science experiments, going back to old school sort of learning, and they do that. And then they feel like, encouraged then to write up in their own way how, what they've done practice. So putting that theory into practice is a big part of our learning. By doing, the children retain information more. So, and they love that. They absolutely, so now we find that it takes them 1 or 2 weeks that, they need those sensory breaks. But after that, because their lessons are so fun, because the teacher knows their names and knows how they learn and knows when to go to them, knows their cues, that they just feel a lot happier just sitting and learning things.
And I guess that because they can choose where they had the layout of the classroom, they feel it's more their classroom and that they've chosen and set it up. So it must make them feel a bit more comfortable because they're choosing. You got that lovely view from Haverfordwest as well, from Cherry Grove, haven't you? Right across the town.
Yeah, you can see
so
the
that's
castle.
going to feel nice as well, isn't it? Do you find that they make friends easier in smaller groups?
Do you know, we worried about that because there's a lot of families may think that because we're so small, there's an issue with socialization. But actually, my daughter, who goes to Haverfordwest High and is thriving after having been in a private school setting because of, she needed the small classroom. But she mentioned that I said, well, you've got lots of students to make friends with, lots and lots of people. And she said, well, Mum, we only ever make about 5 friends anyway. We're not going to be friends with 1,700 people. So what we're finding in the centre is that there are children ranging at the moment from age 7 all the way to 16, and the 16-year-olds will be playing pool and table tennis with the 7-year-old, and they all look after one another, and they're all, and we do a lot of intergenerational work. So we've got a model railway club in the building, and we've got 74-year-old or 84-year-old Steve that comes and chats to them, and they chat to the friends they make within that friendship group. It's closer knit. They are children that understand one another because they've been through similar experiences in schools.
I think that's what it's about. It's about finding somebody else that understands what you're going through yourself, and that doesn't come according to age. So me and Saj, massive age difference.
She's going to tell you about how our 8 years is a massive age gap.
But we do have the same sort of passion for teaching these children, and we want these kids to be okay. So we do have, even though there's a massive age difference, we do have that same passion for educating children. So it still works. So it's not about age. It's about experience.
We don't group the children in classes according to age either. It's if they're able to do that. We've got a 12-year-old who is in with the 15-year-olds in because he's there for a different reason. He's there because he wants to get A stars in GCSE, and smaller class sizes will help him to do that. So it's about ability, but there are certain classes that will have everybody together. So performing arts, everybody, there's a play that's got room for everybody to play a part. And they love that. They love the fact that they, the elder children feel like they're mentors for the younger children. But it's also important that all the children know that we are all learning from each other. As teachers, we're learning from them daily. So there's not a hierarchy and power, thing going on there. But there's lots and lots of room for socialization because we also do a lot of community-based learning. So we will get in touch with the youth club in the evenings, and we're working with Sports Wales, we're working with Cricket Wales, Tennis Wales, Scarlets Rugby. They come and do some sessions, so they're always connected to other people all the time. And we do a lot of community organizing training for them as well, which helps them to communicate effectively with different people.
But we also have we've got a Duke of Edinburgh group, and we've got a Welsh back group that comes from Haverfordwest High School because it's associated with the youth club in the evenings. But so say if we've got young people doing the Duke of Edinburgh from us, they will go on do the expedition with a group from the Edge, say the youth club or Haverfordwest High. So the manager of the Duke of Edinburgh is the same person that's working with us all. So they do see other groups, and they do have that interaction as well. But we're there as safety and support to be there for them. But whereas they wouldn't have maybe accessed that in mainstream education, but we still want them to access everything that they could possibly access.
Are you open to anyone in Pembrokeshire, or is it only the Haverfordwest area, or can it be anywhere in the county?
Anywhere in the county and beyond.
And beyond as well, so West Wales, all West Wales.
So West Wales, yes, and we're here we want to raise awareness that we're here. We're an alternative provision setting, and we also take on school referrals. And yes, we're there for everybody who wants to access something different to the mainstream.
That's great. Well, there's going to be a lot of people listening who've maybe got children, grandchildren, they're a guardian to somebody thinking this sounds amazing. Tell us about that open day very quickly, because I know you've got to go.
Yes.
You've got a big appointment. So tell us quickly when and where's the open day.
The open day is this Thursday, the 29th of January. It's going to be running from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. And the reason we've done that is because a lot of families ask us, especially with EBSA children, the emotionally based school avoidance children, those with anxieties, but those with additional learning needs. They want to know, what does a regular school day look like? So we've had an open day where we've done big presentations, we've showcased what we have to offer, but this is a very normal school day. So the children are fully involved in this open day. They're really happy to be involved in the process, are really confident to show you what they do day in, day out. So normal lessons will be taking place. We have small animals that we have as mascots in our school, so that we've got some pygmy goats there this Thursday as well, for just to put children at ease. But come and have a look from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Drop in. We'll show you around, and we'll show you what a regular day looks like. And so come and meet the families, come and meet the staff, and see for yourself. But for those people that can't make the open day, we have an open door policy as well, so they can get in touch with us via our website and email us, and we can arrange a different day which we can show around your family.
Lovely. Well, thank you for taking the time to tell us more in the studio today. That is Afia Ansaj from the Cherry Grove Learning Centre in Haverfordwest. It's Pure West Radio.
Planning your dream wedding? Discover Rosser-Gilwyn, your exclusive country estate in Pembrokeshire.
Rosser-Gilwyn, your day, your way.